All right, now we're live. What's up, everybody? So, for those of you who are watching the replay, welcome. My name is Markia. I'm known on social media as the Money Plug. I'm a board certified credit repair specialist, a certified financial education instructor, as well as I have on my CERT hat today. So, I am a community emergency response team member. And so this month, being since it's National Preparedness Month, today's live will be talking about how to prepare for a financial emergency, as well as we're going to be doing our usual Q&A. So if you guys have questions, make sure you're putting them in the comments. I did get a lot of questions this week after last week's live where we talked about like student loans and stuff like that. Hey, where we talked about the student loans, how it affects your credit and things like that. If you missed last week's live, I actually did it for the past 2 weeks. We went over the student loan forgiveness plan that the Biden-Harris administration is kind of pushing for or putting out. And we talked about its effect that it's going to have on your credit for those of you who the student loan forgiveness will completely pay off their student loans. So if you want to go back and watch that live, it is available on YouTube. If you go to my YouTube channel, WWTMPD, What Would the Money Plug Do? Hey, girl, hey. You can go back and watch all of my lives recorded there. Let's see. Like I said, there are a couple things I kind of want to talk about today. Let's go to my slides. Okay, so first of all, for those of you who don't know, September is National Preparedness Month, right? So if you've been on Twitter or Instagram today, then you know it's the anniversary of when Kanye West went on TV and said George Bush don't like Black people. And so kind of following all of the events that happened kind of related to Hurricane Katrina, FEMA has been pushing for years that every month this month we have to go over what is preparing for an emergency. How do you prepare for emergencies or disasters in your community, and what can you do to make sure that you have everything set up before the emergency so that during and after you can recover quicker. And so we're definitely going to be talking about that. Hey, what's up? So we're definitely going to be talking about that first. Now, how the Q&A always works is whatever questions you have, please put them in the comments. It does not have to be related to whatever I'm talking about. If it has anything to do with credit, I will always go back and answer the questions. So you don't have to worry about that. Let me see if I can shimmer. So if you follow me on Instagram, then you probably saw this post today. I know you guys can't see it. I'm sorry. All it talks about is that how we're talking about being prepared for emergencies. And that also means being prepared financially, right? So 24% of people do not have money saved for an emergency. And 39% of the people who do have money saved have less than a month's worth of expenses saved. We recently went over how to manage your money when we talked about the Take 5 method. And for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you guys saw the infographic. If you follow me on TikTok or Facebook, you guys likely saw the reel. And in the video, we talked about how to manage your money properly. Things like the importance in having a budget, making sure that if you have any extra money that ever comes in that's not expected outside of the budget, making sure that you kind of make sure you're putting money to the side in case of an emergency. An emergency is different to everybody, right? We all kind of decide what we consider to be an emergency. However, the one thing that doesn't change is that an emergency will always come up. A lot of people be like, well, I have credit cards for emergencies. If you're using your credit cards for an emergency, then you're not doing it right. Emergencies are, you're not supposed to use somebody else's money to pay for your emergency, because then you're not only are you going to have to pay that money back. An emergency implies that you don't have the money to pay that off all the way. So you'll likely be making payments. If you're making payments on an emergency, that means you're paying interest on that emergency. And if I didn't have the money to pay the original whatever it was, why do you assume that I would have money to pay that plus interest? You get what I'm saying? This is why it's important for you to have emergency accounts. Remember, credit cards are supposed to be for your everyday spending. That's what their rewards programs and stuff like that are for. So with credit cards, that's what you're using for your everyday spending. That's what you're using when you're shopping online, when you're getting gas at the pump, when you're going out to eat. For an emergency, you need to be using your own money. There's no penalty, there's no fee, there's none of that if you're using your own money when you have emergencies. Now, go back. Let's see. So with this post, I also put out a resource. It's called the Emergency Financial First Aid Kit, or the EFAC. The EFAC can help you start to prepare by providing important advice on managing your finances, offers insight on dealing with credit scores, and describes what to expect should a disaster strike your community. The EFAC is very helpful and very descriptive because it talks about the different types of insurance that you may need, not only for yourself, but for your property, right? How sometimes renters or home insurance may not include flood insurance. So you're going to want to make sure that you look for the holes in your policies and get additional coverage elsewhere to make sure that you're fully covered. It talks about the steps that you should take before an emergency, during an emergency, and after an emergency, including resources through FEMA and other government organizations to make sure that you all have everything that you need, or at least have access to the resource to make sure that you're taken care of in case of an emergency. And I did put out the website. If you would like to go get an EFAC or an emergency financial first aid kit, you can go to ready.gov/financial preparedness. This is where you can go. It's completely free. Like I said, it's from FEMA. So it's completely free. I'll also be putting the link on the Facebook group for you guys, as well as I actually downloaded an EFAC. I'll put that in the group files for you guys to download as well. What else can I put? I know it was a couple other like little infographics and stuff that I thought was really cool on the ready.gov website for National Preparedness Month. So I'll also be putting that in the group files. If you guys are on Facebook, if you look at the bottom, you'll see a bunch of links scrolling by, but the Facebook group is called Plugged In, the Credit Clubhouse. It's a DIY assistant group. It's a completely free group. All you got to do is request to join. If you follow me on Facebook at Markia B, aka The Money Plug, which is my page, if you look under groups, you'll be able to see the Facebook group there, and you can join it. In the group, we talk about everything credit. We make jokes. I take polls. They get access to all of my content earlier usually. Or if I got any products or any services coming out, they usually get first dibs on appointments and stuff like that. So if you want to join the Facebook group, again, the name of the Facebook group is Plugged In, the Credit Clubhouse. I have a friend who just used their credit cards once a year. I'm trying to tell them to use it once a month. Yes. So, and we've talked about this multiple times about people, I always get the same people. They be like, well, my credit score is a 750 and I only use my credit cards once a year. That's cool because you haven't been caught yet. But when lenders see that you're not using their products, or when lenders see that they're not making any money off of having you as a client, a lot of times what will end up happening is, for example, if you have like Community Bank, which is like store cards like Victoria's Secret and stuff like that, what they'll do first is they'll lower your credit limit, right, to encourage you to use it. And they'll tell you, like, we lowered your credit limit because you aren't using it. So if you start using it, you could potentially get this credit limit back. Or a lot of times they'll just close your account. And when a creditor closes your account, and you wasn't expecting it, like had no clue it was going to happen, because they don't have to warn you beforehand. When a creditor closes your account, remember, your score is going to drop. So for those of you who are, in the home buying process, let's say you close in 30, 60 days and they close your credit card, that can drop your score. And for a lot of you who are like on the border for like whether or not you qualify for this home loan, that could be the thing that takes away your house. It is very important that you are actively using the credit that you have available to you. I'm not telling you go out and make large purchases. You really don't have to. As long as you're buying something, right? At least one thing a month. It could be a pack of gum, some chips, some gas, something. Each credit card should have an assigned purpose anyway. So that makes it so that you're not forcing yourself to make purchases. The credit cards that you have supports the spending that you're already doing. I hate when you guys be asking me questions like, well, I have this score. What's the next card I should get? The credit cards, or any kind of accounts really that you're adding to your credit profile, need to support your financial goals and the spending you're already doing. And nobody really knows that like you do. So if you spending money eating out, you travel a lot, you staying at hotels all the time, obviously I would say, hey, if this is the case, maybe you should look into a travel credit card. Right? If you are a stay-at-home mom and most of your purchases are at the grocery store, I would tell you, let's put together a list of credit cards who rewards programs reward you for grocery purchases, like things like that. Remember, all of the accounts that you are adding to your credit profile need to support the spending you're already doing, not encouraging you to spend more. And I know the example I usually use is like somebody, I will never forget how somebody was like, why don't you get a Lane Bryant card? Because they're really easy to get. What the hell am I finna get out of Lane Bryant? I can't fit nothing in that store. I don't care how easy it is for me to get the card. I don't care what the credit limit is going to be. If that card is not going to get me closer to my financial goals, I do not need that card. Is there a way to prevent a creditor from increasing your credit limit spontaneously? So no, not necessarily, especially because under the terms and conditions and stuff like that for a lot of the credit programs that these companies offer, you give them permission to consistently monitor your credit. And so just like when it decreases, when your credit score decreases, your credit limits can drop or they'll close it. And they know that it decreased because they're monitoring your credit. So, when it goes up, it's likely to, you'll be rewarded for that. You'll get increases in your credit limits, or they'll start sending you offers for better credit cards or higher tier credit cards. Isn't that the store for big girls? Yeah, it is. And I tell people all the time, I can't fit nothing in there. I can barely fit stuff in the regular stores. I don't care how easy it is to get a card. If I'm not going to use it, if I don't already shop there, it just doesn't make sense. To be honest though, I really wouldn't see a reason for you to not want like lenders and stuff to increase your credit limits, mainly because if you increase your credit limits, that's going to help your credit utilization. They're not in, like, obviously they want you to spend more money, but like you don't have to. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, just because they increased your credit limit, you do not have to spend more money. Your spending shouldn't change just because your credit limit has. Let's see. Sorry. Somebody said they couldn't see it, so I'm trying to change something. There we go. All right, next question. Oh, all right, I got all the questions. I also wanted to thank you guys. So for those of you who are new to following me or you don't follow me, last month, I believe it was at the beginning of the month, I asked everybody to send donations or school supplies to a school of your choice in honor of the back to school. I'm really big on childhood literacy. The year before we were doing the reading kids bedtime stories, and just spending time teaching kids, reading to kids, or reading with kids. So this year, my sorority, Kappa Epsilon Psi Military Sorority Incorporated, put together a backpack drive. Y'all showed out. Not only was I able to provide book bags for our backpack drive, but I was also able to donate to another organization. The first organization, they got about, I want to say they got about 50 backpacks from us. And inside of each backpack was a handwritten letter, kind of encouraging them for the school year, making sure that, they knew that somebody out there believed in them. At first, we were only going to do it for, girls, but we ended up getting some more gender neutral backpacks instead of just the pink ones. So we just put a letter in each backpack. So I definitely want to thank all of you who sent in the letters as well as the donations or any school supplies and stuff like that. And then for the Kappa Epsilon Psi backpack drive, we were able to donate book bags as well. And all together with the sorority, we ended up passing out 100 backpacks filled with school supplies to an elementary school, a local elementary school. And it was really cool meeting all the kids and talking to them and seeing how excited they were for back to school. So I just definitely wanted to take the time out to thank you guys for your donations. I wouldn't have been able to buy the backpacks if it wasn't for you guys. And so for this month, in honor of National Preparedness Month, I'm actually going to be putting together go bags. So go bags are bags that has basic supplies in it. So there'll be water, there'll be maybe some MRE style or meal ready to eat style foods, or like the camp food, I guess you guys can call it. I know Army, we got our own words for it, but the campfire food, the stuff that you can eat if you're stranded in the woods somewhere, things to keep you warm, things like that, just stuff that you need in case of an emergency. All month long, I will be posting about preparedness. How do you prepare for an emergency? What is a go bag? What goes in your kit? How to identify things that your family specifically need? How to get insurance. We're going to be talking about property insurance. We're going to be talking about flood insurance. So it's a lot of information is going to be coming out this month. All of the information is straight from the government. It's going to be directly from FEMA and Operation Hope. Those are are the two organizations who are really spearheading the National Preparedness Month campaign. So I'm really excited about all the information that's going out. And I'm even more excited to put together these go bags at the end of the month. So for those of you who would like to donate, I'm also going to make a post in the Facebook group and have it featured so you guys can see it. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting you guys can't see it. Yes. So my Cash App, let me see if I can turn this around. Actually, that would make sense, huh? I'm actually going to see if I can turn this around. Let's see. That's kind of creepy because I'm looking at myself. No, you can't really see it. So I'll put it in the comments, Christina. But yes, so the donation options are Cash App and Venmo, which is my name, Markia Brown. So let me see. Can I type this in here? Sorry, y'all. Instagram don't let me share my screen on my desktop. Okay, so my Venmo and my Cash App is the same thing, Markia Brown. You just got to either put the $ or the @ symbol, and then PayPal is paypal.me/themoneyplugco, the Money Plug CO. So I'm super excited to put together these go bags, especially because you know, it's different when you're donating supplies somewhere you don't see where it's going. But, you know, now that COVID's over and I'm able to actually do it, it was really, really cool to see, like, to actually hand the school supplies over to kids and talk to them and identify the families who need additional help and things like that. And I don't know, I don't know. It felt really, really good to serve my community in that capacity again. It's been a really, really long time. Y'all know, even before COVID, not even before COVID really, but, you know, before we were back in America, we were in Germany, and the Europeans took COVID a lot more seriously than we did. So that human interaction, I feel like I was missing, and that volunteer opportunities and stuff like that were really few and far between. So it was really, really cool to just, you know, be a part of that. And I'm really excited about these go bags. We've already identified a couple different organizations that we could use to pass out these go bags. But like I said, more information will be coming out later this month. And if you are in the DMV and you want to help out or you want to be a part of it, let me know, and then we'll set something up so that more people can be involved. I'll be in Fredericksburg next weekend. If you're anywhere near there, love to high five each other. Let me see what my schedule looks like next weekend. To be honest, all right, so I'm gonna tell y'all what happened, right? I pulled a muscle in my back doing too much, right? So I'm actually sidelined for a couple days, and if it doesn't get any better, I'm gonna be sidelined for a little bit longer. But I'm gonna check my schedule and DM me that. I'll check my schedule and get back with you, because I'm actually not that far from Fredericksburg. So I definitely would love to meet up. High five, get some. Y'all know I love to eat. Y'all listen, and I tell people all the time, if you ever want to kidnap the Money Plug, tell me it's gonna be free food. Because one thing I'm gonna do is eat. But yeah, I really just wanted to kind of give you guys your flowers for the donations and stuff like that. For the backpacks, as well as for DMV stands for Department of Motor Vehicles. For real, the only people who say DMV is the people who live in DC. That, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, that's usually the only time I hear it. But anyway, I also want to talk to you guys about these free budget plans. So I know I've been pushing these real heavy on y'all, but money management is the most important part of repairing your credit, or even managing your credit. If you're not managing your money properly, how do you expect to manage your credit properly? I definitely want to give a shout out to y'all, because y'all have been killing the website. Like, oh, thank you so much. Y'all been killing the website. The website actually went down for a little bit because so many people was on it filling out budgets, and I'm so happy to see that you guys using this resource. And it lets me know that, you know, if I kind of can create more partnerships to give you guys more of the things that you need, that you'll actually use them, right? Because somebody has to pay for this stuff. So if you have not checked it out yet, the Money Plug has partnered with a company known as Physical, who's pretty much modus operandi, right? They want to provide, I'm still waiting on support. That's why you haven't gotten your new one. But they want to provide financial wellness tools to low-income, underbanked, and really underserved communities. And so I was able to partner with them to give this to you guys. It's a completely customized budget plan. Remember, your finances are just as unique as you are. You don't, spend money how I spend money. Your financial goals aren't like mine. But what this does is it takes about 10 minutes to fill out. And if you have all of your income and expense information, it's really kind of straightforward. You'll fill it out, answer a couple questions about your financial goals, and it will give you a customized budget and action plan. So not only will you have a workable budget that to kind of like go with, but you'll also have step-by-step plans that can really help you achieve those financial financial goals. Maybe you're saving for something. And it also gives you access to a financial coach if you so desire. You do not have to reach out to one, but you get that option. And I thought this was really cool because it also I've also worked with Physical to provide you guys those calculators. So if you've been on my website at themoneyplug.co slash budgeting, if I'm not mistaken, or if you just go to themoneyplug.co and up at the top, it'll say make a budget and click on it. There's these calculators that are there. And as a matter of fact, I'll pull it up so that you guys can see it just in case you haven't seen it. And with these calculators, it also gives you some additional tools that you can use when you're planning to make purchases and stuff like that. Or if you have some ideas, but you're not sure what to do and you don't know who to talk to, that is an option that you have. Let me see. Let's share screen. Tab, and then this one. Ta-da. Okay, so on this page, let me see if I can zoom out some. There we go. So on this page, there are a bunch of different Wait, I tried to ask you about IUL's last live, but you were hella focused. I've done extensive research and I'm all in for myself and kids' thoughts. What's an IUL? What is that? Oh shoot. I think I broke my phone stand. Anyway, these calculators are actually super useful. Oh, hold on. Let me take the banner off so that you guys can see this. There we go. So these calculators are actually really useful. Like if you are looking to get a new car, you can use the car loan calculator to determine whether or not the offer that they're giving you is a good one. You can enter the loan amount, the interest rate, the terms, and it'll tell you what your like around what your monthly payment should be, total interest that you'll end up paying before the end of the loan, things, and how much altogether you'll end up paying back. So it's actually, I don't know, I really love these because I feel like these give me but I don't know, I feel like I get to play the scenario out in my head, like, okay, so this could work out like this, and then kind of compare it to other things to really make a better educated decision or more, not IRL, she said IUL. Go ahead, drop your question in the comments. There's also credit card repayment calculators. I think this is my most popular one. Now with the credit card repayment calculators, pretty much, so like, let's say, I'll just fill in all the blank stuff. So let's say I owe $5,000 and the interest rate is 19.99. My current monthly payment is $100, right? It will take me 109 months to pay off this purchase, and I'll be paying a total interest $5,830.16. So let's say I wanted to set a goal to pay this card off quicker. I wanted to pay it off in 6 months. It will calculate what my monthly payment needs to be in order to pay this card off in 6 months. And I can also look at both plans and calculate which one would be the best for me by comparing the two. So if you look, my current repayment plan, it says I'll be paying about $5,000 in interest for 109 months of payments, right? And then if you look at my goal, in order to pay it off in 6 months, I'll have to obviously increase my payment, but my interest will drastically increase. So I definitely think at the very least, the credit card repayment calculator could be very valuable for you all. Again, I really, 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 really love giving you guys access to these tools because I feel like they allow you to make smarter financial decisions because you are able to kind of play these scenarios out before you kind of get yourself into those. And it's very important that you kind of prepare or set yourself up for success before you put yourself in these situations instead of scrambling after the fact. How do I remove late payments from my credit report? The account is paid off. So here's the thing about late payments. Here's the thing about late payments. I'm just now seeing your comment, Philip, about PG County. So when it comes to late payments, it's not the same as like an inaccuracy in the way the account is reporting, because if the company actually has proof that you were late, then it's factually reporting. And if it's true, then legally they have to report it, right? Here's the thing. You could always ask them to forgive you for the payment if the account is still open. It never hurts. I always tell people you can't get what you don't ask for, right? And then, or you can force them to prove that the payments were actually late. Now, remember, I talked about the importance of knowing the different consumer protection laws, and one of the ones I love to use is the FCBA. The Fair Credit Billing Act is a part of the FCRA, or the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And in the FCBA, it talks about how for credit cards specifically, it's illegal for a lender or a creditor to report late payments unless they have evidence to support their claim that they gave you access to your monthly statement no less than 21 days before your payment due date. So if you can prove that they did not give you access to your statement, your monthly statement, or if at least you can cast the shadow of a doubt knowing that they don't have any evidence, you could use that to get the late payment removed. Or a lot of people will go drastic and try to get the entire account removed. It's really important for you to know that just removing an account just because of late payments isn't going to just remove those late payments. You're also going to remove the on-time payments that account was reporting as well. And remember, on-time payments are 35% of your score. So if you're removing on-time payments from your credit report, it's not going to help you the way that you think it is. And a lot of times I see this with the student loans. Everybody's like, well, I consolidated my student loans, so I want to erase all my old ones. I want them off my credit report because they were late, or whatever the case may be. So, I get why you want it gone, and I understand where you're coming from. But for a lot of you, it would actually be in your best interest to leave it on your credit and then just start adding new accounts to your profile to kind of cover up the points, to kind of recapture the points that you lost with those late payments. Remember, the older a late payment is, the less of an effect it has on your actual score. So, even though it's there and it's reporting score-wise, like, it's not going to be affecting you so much. That's why everybody it only matters for like the first 2 years. After the 2 years, it loses more and more of an effect on your credit score. And as long as you are building properly in the meantime, in between time, right, then you'll be able to recapture those points, and it's not a big deal. Just an idea. Can you do maybe a video educating us on what range APR we should expect for loans based on credit range, and when we should and shouldn't walk away from a bad APR? Now that my score is increasing significantly, I'm new to the good credit score range, and I'm not sure when I'm looking at something that I could play myself with or go for it. Just a thought. So here's the thing about interest rates. Number one, interest rates have increased due to inflation. I don't know if it's due to inflation or if this is like hand in hand with inflation, but interest rates have gone up. I can't tell you what's an acceptable interest rate for you, mainly because your credit score isn't the only thing that is used to determine what your interest rate will be. It's not just your credit score. It's your credit score and the additional information that you have reporting on your credit. So even though you may have a 715, let's say you got a bankruptcy, automatically I can expect you to probably have a higher interest rate. Like, there's too many variables in that equation for me to sit there and be like, this is a good interest rate, this is not a good interest rate. Obviously, the lower the better. If it's single digits, I'm gonna tell you, go for it. But I just can't really be that. I don't want to be like, no, you shouldn't take a 12% interest rate, and then at the end of the day, that's the only thing you qualify for. Hey, Marcus. Like, I just don't want to do that. Let's see. It was something else I wanted to share with y'all too today. And look, I know the last couple of Fridays I've been real iffy, and to be honest, I was literally laid up in the bed, like my whole upper body is sore from pulling that muscle in my back. So I wasn't gonna go live at first. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, but I was like, I've been slacking on my Friday lives, so I figured I would do this with you guys. I just want y'all to know how much I love y'all, because I do not want to get out of this bed. All right, so I know we talked a little bit about it earlier, right? We talked about how it's National Preparedness Month. And to be honest, ever since I started, like when I started making all my content and stuff for this month, like, or at least planning it out and talking about, like, all of the people, like, I don't know, I feel like the statistics are really eye-opening. It's different, like, I know there are people who are not prepared for emergencies, and I see it all the time. But once I really started doing a deep dive into what it takes to actually be prepared for a financial emergency, and the amount of people who are not, like, I don't know, it was very eye-opening to me, I guess you could say, in the sense that, like, almost half of Americans literally would struggle to come up with $400 to help cover an emergency. $400. Most emergencies cost more than $400. So that's an even scarier statistic, right? Like, about 1/3 of American families don't have a savings. 1/3? Like, that's so many people. 6 out of 10 households in America experience at least one financial emergency a year. So that's at least one, meaning there could be more than one. And if you're already struggling to come up with $400 for one emergency, imagine having to come up with $800 for two. Like, I don't know. It's like doing these deep dives. It really hurt my heart to see people struggling. And for a lot of these communities, it's not because they choose to be ignorant. It's usually because they lack access to resources or lack access to tools to even understand how to prepare themselves for a financial emergency. I love the live setup. This whole aesthetic is exactly what I want to be looking at when I'm learning about my raggedy, boring student loans and credit. Thank you. I'm fucking dead. I'm dead. I'm glad you like the setup. I wish Instagram could see it. But I did put together like a little slideshow. And for those of you on Instagram, I know you guys can't see it. It is a lot of slides. And I know Instagram only allows me to post 10. So I'll try to get those kind of condensed for you guys. Or I'll just post a link to the Facebook on my story so you guys could look at the slides. But I put together a slideshow on how to protect yourself in the event of a financial emergency. Now, a financial emergency looks different for all of us, right? However, if you're prepared for any, like if we always used to say in the Army, if you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. So if you prepare yourself for anything, then you're ready for everything. Should I add an authorized user while I have 3 late payments? Absolutely not. When you're adding an authorized user to your credit account, it makes no sense to add them to accounts that have late payments or high utilization. You need to get the utilization down first and then handle those late payments before adding people on it because it's not beneficial to them after the fact. How can I increase my score since we may not get our VA loan? That's a super loaded question. There's a lot of ways you can increase your score, but first you need to figure out why is your score low. No, I'm being added. Right. Okay. So then no. If they have 3 late payments on that credit card, absolutely not. You should not get added to that card, especially if those 3 late payments or any of those late payments were in the last 2 years. What's borderline high for an interest rate in your opinion? Because I'd be confused about those too. It depends on what your credit is, right? Because you know how we always tell people like act your age, not your shoe size. Or act your wage, you got to act your credit score. You can't go into a car dealership and expect a 5 or 3 or 1% interest rate, knowing that your credit score is giving very much 580, 590, 600, right? So it really depends on where you're sitting. Obviously, I always say single digit interest rates are the goal, right? But unfortunately, for a lot of us, that may not be an option. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. No, for real. I haven't heard that one in a while. I'm being added as an AU and my primary account has late payments. Okay, wait a minute. If you are being added as an authorized user, your other accounts have no bearing on the authorized user accounts. It's a completely different thing. So if you have late payments on other accounts, but the authorized user account that you're about to be added to has no late payments, then go for it. One has nothing to do with the other, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. All right, so timeshare. Oh, I don't know what that means. All right, so what is a financial emergency? So any expense or loss of income that you didn't plan for, that is considered a financial emergency. And if anything, COVID was a huge financial emergency. And I really feel like a lot of people did not learn that lesson. When COVID happened, a lot of people started, they lost hours at work. So their paychecks were shorter, but the bills were still due, right? And so if you did not have that money saved, then unfortunately you was kind of met with some issues. A lot of people ended up going into credit card debt because they were having to use their credit cards to cover these emergencies because they did not have money saved or put to the side or whatever you want to call it for these things like missed paychecks, a damaged roof, a flat tire, a medical bill, anything that happens to you that wasn't budgeted for, right? That's considered a financial emergency. And this is another reason why, I've been really harping on the fact that we need to do better at managing our money. And that's another reason why I started posting a lot of budgeting content because, thank you. That's why I started posting a lot of budgeting content because you cannot manage your credit properly if you are not managing your money properly. Thank you. That's still not telling me enough. Like, I can't tell you exactly what to do to raise your score just because you telling me you have a old timeshare on there. So many things. You have to sit down with your credit and identify what is costing me points. Whenever your credit score is low, that's because something is costing you points, right? So you need to figure out where's the leak. You got to figure out where is these points coming away from. All right, so what else is considered a financial emergency, right? Car damage. So for those of you who follow my personal page or know me personally, y'all know my husband went out of town and came back, and there was this giant hole in my passenger slider door for my brand new fucking minivan. Like, it wasn't even a year old. I was furious, right? And I mean, yeah, that's what car insurance is for, but I did not budget to have to pay my $500 deductible, right? Or premium or whatever it's called. No, it's a deductible. I didn't budget for that. So that's considered a financial emergency because I had to get my door fixed. It was a safety hazard. The door wouldn't close completely. I got kids. I had to get the car fixed. I didn't have that as an option of just leaving it alone. So that financial emergency, if I did not plan for it previously, it really would have put me in a bind. And so you'll see, that's what I mean when I say that financial emergencies look different to everybody, because somebody might not consider that an emergency, but if they have to get emergency medical surgery and they have to pay like some sort of copay or something like that, that could be considered a financial emergency. For those of you who are military, let's say that you get put up, let's say your unit is put on deployment orders, like rapid deployment, like wheels up in like 18 hours, and you have to use your family care plan. That means you have to fly your long-term care provider out to your house. That's an expense that you did not plan for. Now you got to pay to, or if you're sending your kids somewhere, you got to pay for food. You got to pay for this. You got to pay for that. Let's say you're sending them with family and they got to go to daycare, but you still have to pay daycare to keep your slot where you are when you get back. Like, these are expenses that you weren't expecting. It don't have to be a natural disaster in order for this to be considered a financial emergency. A financial emergency is literally anything that you did not have in your budget, which is really important for you guys to have a budget. And again, for those of you who do not have a budget, I want you guys to go to this link. Physical.com/themoneyplug, FISECAL.com/themoneyplug. You get a free customized budget plan. The timeshare wasn't paid for several months due to illness. A timeshare is considered a mortgage. We didn't know, so we paid it off. Credit score reflects 25 late payments. Again, we talked about late payments. When it comes to late payments, if they're reporting accurately and they have the evidence to support that you were late, then you can't remove those late payments. Your only option is to either remove the account or add new accounts to your credit profile that's going to have that on-time payment history that's going to help recover some of the points that you lost with that one. Let's see. Next. All right. So before a financial emergency, right? So a lot of times people don't start looking at, oh my God, am I prepared for a financial emergency? Or they don't realize that they're not as prepared as they thought they were until a financial emergency happens. So let's talk about some steps before the emergency happens. How can you help better prepare your family so that the recovery isn't as long, right? So number one, start an emergency savings account. You guys know we went over the Take 5 method a couple weeks ago, and the Take 5 method is where you have 5 different accounts that you are using to manage your money. It's very similar to the envelope method. It's just that I don't like cash. I never have cash on me. I use a card for everything. And so having those 5 separate bank accounts with all separate purposes allows me to manage my money properly. And one of those accounts is an emergency savings account. Saving small amounts like $5 or $10 a week is a perfect place to start. $1, $2. It doesn't have to be $100, $200. There's no right or wrong way to start an emergency savings account. It's just important that you start. Making a budget. Making a budget is super important. And a lot of people be like, oh, I don't need a budget. I know where my money goes. I know what needs to be paid, blah, 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 blah. Then an emergency happens. And now you're scrambling because you can't just look at your budget to see where you have some extra money kind of sit in that you can kind of trim the fat off of this, like your entertainment budget, or like, oh, I don't have to get my nails done this month or something like that. It's not as easy for you to review your finances and make those changes that you need to in order to support your spending habits, right? Or your emergency, right? So this is why it's important for you to make a budget. Now, reduce your debt by making regular payments of at least a minimum due and pay your bills on time to maintain a good credit rating. when emergencies happen, like disasters and stuff like that, or you lose your job, a lot of these accounts that you guys have programs that can help you with that. But the biggest thing is that you guys aren't communicating with your lenders. And it's kind of weird because like I get that you duck them out because you're embarrassed or you just need a little bit more time. But if you truly want to kind of face it, you have to face it head on. Like there's no other way you could do this. And I say that because when you don't communicate, that's when the late payments, that's when they close accounts, that's when they're like, well, you weren't communicating with us, so why would we communicate with you before we close your account? But if you're communicating with your lender, you could find out that maybe they have a deferment program where you could tack your payments onto the end of the life of your loan so that it extends the amount of time you'll be paying on your loan, but you won't get that late payment. Or for example, community bank. So for those of you who have like Victoria's Secret and stuff like that, Community Bank has a program where they will cover your payments. I think it's like up to 6 months if you lose your job, but you have to opt into it and pay into the program. So like lenders have programs out there for you, but the only way you will learn about these programs is by communicating with your lenders. So it's important that you make sure you're maintaining a positive relationship with your lenders while everything is good, so that once the shit hits the fan, you're not just looking crazy reaching out to them and expecting something for nothing. They know that you're a valued client, you've been making them money, they have no issues out of you. Of course they'd be more willing to do things for you if you already were in good standing before the emergency happened. Let's see. There we go. Before the emergency, review your insurance coverage. I tell people this all the time. If y'all got people who, especially people who like live in the barracks, if you're living in college dorms, if you're living at home with your parents, even though they have a mortgage, you can get renter's insurance for your stuff. And the reason why I be real big on insurance is because like, again, an emergency is anything you did not plan for. So for example, I think it was like Hampton University. Like something happened with the sprinkler system, flooded all of the student stuff. They lost all of their stuff, computers, clothes, bedding, furniture, all kinds of stuff. And these kids didn't have renter's insurance. So their parents and them had to come up out of pocket to replace all of those things. If you had renter's insurance, it would have been able to cover things like water damage, if you have flood insurance, and your neighborhood floods because the river overflowed, or I don't know, whatever the case may be, the insurance will be able to cover the bulk of what it will cost to replace these items. For example, for those of y'all with USAA, you probably know what I'm talking about. When we lived in North Carolina, it was hurricane season. There's always a hurricane. USAA, more times than not, if my power went out, they would give me money to replace all of the food that was in my refrigerator. When we had to evacuate because a real bad hurricane was coming, USAA fronted us some money. Right? They just gave us money, was like, here is money for a hotel, for gas, food for you and your family. Like they had like a predetermined amount that they gave us, but it was because we had, I think it was renter's insurance through them that they allowed us to do this. And then like, I actually have something called personal property insurance for my high ticket items. You guys know I used to have a t-shirt design company, so I had a lot of equipment. And so each individual item had insurance on it, in addition to the renter's insurance that I had at the house, because I had gaps in my insurance coverage with my renter's insurance. It only covered certain things. But because I had that additional insurance with the personal property insurance, now I was fully covered. So it didn't matter if something was stolen, if it was broken, or if it just stopped working. I knew that I was covered. I knew that all I had to do was file a claim and I would get that money to replace this item. So it's very, very, very important that you all review your insurance coverage before the emergency. Before hurricane season, you need to make sure that you have flood insurance. Before, oh, it's a flood here. Jesus, Mary Joseph. I knew I shouldn't have opened that window. Oops, sorry. Go back. There we go. Now, create and update your emergency plan. Like I said, the post today that I made on Instagram, and I think I also did a TikTok on it today, but we talked about the emergency financial first aid kit, right? Or the EFACT. The EFACT has literally step-by-step instructions on what you need to do to have yourself financially prepared for an emergency. I'm talking, it has spaces for you to list all of the points of contacts for your insurance policies, health insurance stuff, life insurance stuff, property insurance stuff, a bank account information. It also talks about how you should consider having cash on hand in the event that there's no power and it's a natural disaster. So you need to make sure you have cash on hand in case you can't get to ATMs or like their debit and credit systems are down. It talks about how to identify unique situations with your family that other families may not have, but you do. So you have to take into account. For example, my son has a peanut allergy, so I know that means that a lot of these like food kits and stuff that a lot of people buy, or like a lot of people buy like trail mix for their go bags and stuff like that. I can't do that, so I'm probably going to be spending more money on different snacks because I can't buy like the regular stuff. Or if you have special needs family members and they need medication, you need to be able to you need to make sure, like, okay, in case of an emergency, where do I go to get refills for their medication, or how much medication do I need to cover a month, and do we have that, or can I get access to that? So it allows you to identify the unique situations regarding your family so that your emergency plan is as unique as your family is. Again, I highly suggest you guys, and again, it literally takes a second to download. It's a PDF. You can download it, print it out, talk about it with your kids, with your family. But you go to ready.gov/financial preparedness. It's completely free. It's from FEMA. So it's not like I made this up, or these are categories that like I identified. This is something that the government has done surveys on, and they feel like this information is what you need to be the most prepared. Keep important records safe. Make sure you save important receipts and store them digitally and in a waterproof, fireproof container. I can't tell you how many times, like I've talked to people who have had house fires or flooding or something like that, and they lost important documents like passports, birth certificates, social security cards, insurance policy information, deeds to their homes, things like that. It's really important that you guys are keeping your important documents safe, and under your mattress is not considered safe. You get a fireproof, waterproof container. Keep your cash in there too. That way, when it's an emergency, you can just grab the whole thing and go. You don't have to be running around the house like, has anybody seen this? Has anybody seen that? Everything is in one place, including you can have copies of your EFAC in it even. It's like, and just grab it and go. In the case of I know I keep using natural disasters, but it also works for just financial disasters. The website, hold on, I'll put it up for you. I'll put it up for you. Where is it? Right here. For the emergency financial first aid kit, you'll go to ready.gov/financial preparedness. And Instagram, I have a post up now, the yellow post on my Instagram page that I posted today, that has the website listed for you guys. You can just save the post or screenshot it. Protect your property. Now, this is something that I learned how to do because whenever I PCS or change duty stations in the military, I would always let the military set up my moves. So they would come to my house, pack all my stuff up, and ship it to wherever we going, and then unpack it. And what I learned with that is that you need to take inventory of all your stuff. And I mean everything. When it comes to my property, and this has also helped me with filing like personal property insurance claims and things like that, take pictures of your items. I take pictures of all of my items as well as pictures of the serial numbers of all of my items, especially my electronics. If it's an electronic, I also take pictures of it working so that I do it with the Nikon, so it has like the date on it, so that I can have that the metadata to support the fact that this property is what I had and it was working. So that when I put my claim in because my stuff is lost or my stuff is not working anymore, or was destroyed or whatever, I have evidence that I owned it. It was mine. And a lot of times I'll include the proof of purchase, which is like photos of a receipt or something like that. And I keep all of that stuff readily available on a hard drive, something that I can grab and go in case of an emergency. So I highly suggest that for those of you who do not have an emergency plan, this is your first time hearing that you need one, include a hard drive filled with document or pictures of important documents. Like if you have like high quality jewelry, take pictures of all your warranty stuff, anything that you like, certificates of authenticity, all of that stuff, so that if something happens, they'll have an inventory of all of your items. And then if you have the proper insurances, they'll be sure to reimburse you for any losses or damages that may have occurred. But that was something that I learned while using the military PCS, because they would break my stuff or lose my stuff or steal my stuff. And so by doing that, it allows me to know exactly what I have and what should be here. Keep cash in a secure place. Again, if the power is down, you're not going to be able to go to the bank. They're not going to be able to swipe your card to make purchases if you got to go to the market and buy food or things like that. So it's important that you have certain amount of cash on hand to ensure that it'll be able to cover you until you get access to your bank accounts again. Now, I typically tell people, and I know it might seem like a lot depending on what your expenses are, but you should have at least 1 month's worth of cash in a very safe place. I ain't telling you keep it under your pillow or in your sock drawer or under your mattress. Again, you need a fireproof, waterproof container that you can put all of your important documents in, as well as some cash. That's something that you can grab and go. And you know what? I want to show you something else, because I know I talked about it in a video previously, and it wasn't a paid video, but this is something called my folio. It just literally says the folio on it, and at the bottom it's called In Case I Go Missing. Now, I can't remember the name of the company I bought it from, but I've seen a lot of these online. I've also shared on Instagram. Barnes and Nobles has this book, like I'm Dead Now What, like books like that about like estate planning and stuff like that. But inside my folio, like there are like envelopes and stuff like that that are labeled that I keep all of my important documents in. Now, this one goes a little OD because it has like lists of my friends and their contact information, fingerprints, like hair samples, like all kinds of stuff. Like let me see if I can find that paper. Here it is. So like it came with these labels and digital media, friends and exes, hair sample, handwriting sample, hangout spots, official documents. And so this is something that I use, and I keep my folio with all of my important stuff on my bookshelf. So literally, if anything happens in case of emergency, I will come in here, grab this, and go. If I go missing, my family can come in here, grab this, and take this to the police. If anything happens, all of my important documents and cash, right, is all in one place, so that I can again just grab it and go, or my family can just grab it and go. But I definitely wanted to talk. When I looked over, I saw it and I thought it was a good idea. Okay, so contact a qualified financial counselor or coach. Talking to someone who like you can talk to your mama, you can talk to your aunt, you can talk to your grandma, but it is always best to talk to a professional. You need to make sure that you are doing everything that you need to do financially to ensure that you are prepared for an emergency. And who better to talk to than a professional? Some banks offer this service for free if you are a customer, especially credit unions. But it literally take like an hour out of one of your days and go talk to somebody. Even if you guys sit down and plan out maybe like an emergency savings budget. Because remember, when you have an emergency savings account, a good rule of thumb is to have at least 3 months worth of expenses saved in that emergency savings account. So what can you do to get you to that 3 months worth of expenses being saved up? Maybe this professional can identify where you're spending too much money, show you where you can kind of cut back when you're spending, and kind of hold you accountable in the meantime, in between time, for the spending that you're doing. But I definitely suggest that if you are putting together a plan, if you don't already have one, if you're putting together a plan, definitely consider contacting someone, a professional, to make sure that your financial plan has everything that you need in case of an emergency. Now, during an emergency, everything is happening. And again, an emergency could be anything. It could be a loss in the family, a car accident. It could be a natural disaster. But during an emergency, this is why it's important for you to plan beforehand, because during the emergency, you're not thinking straight. It's just like, like, what do I do? Like, oh my God, like I'm panicking. I don't have this, I don't have that. But if you already have the plan set up, then, it'll not necessarily be easy, but it'll be easier to manage. So step 1, use your emergency savings. This is what this money is for. This money is to get you through this emergency. So use it for such. Use it for food, water, temporary housing in case of natural disasters. If you use it for your deductible, if you got into a car accident, use it for your copay if you had emergency surgery or an emergency doctor office visit. But use your emergency savings because that's what it's for. Stop using your credit cards for stuff like this. Again, an emergency implies that you don't have the income readily available, right? So if you can't pay this out of your debit account, like your regular checking account, and you have to, all right, this is now officially an emergency because I have not budgeted for this to come out this month, use your emergency savings. Because if that means you didn't have the money, right? Why would I use somebody else's money to pay for my emergency? I already didn't have the money. Now, not only do I have to pay that money that I borrowed back, but I also have to pay interest on the money that I borrowed, fees on the money that I borrowed. So you got to think about it like that. Use your emergency savings for emergencies. Stop using your credit cards. Contact credit card companies and lenders. I know I said it a little bit earlier, but I'm going to say it again. Communication is key. Whenever anything happens, you lose your job, your money is just short, and you're not going to have it this month, whatever the case may be, you need to make sure that you are communicating with your lenders. Learn about payment options that they have. Remember, some companies offer deferment programs where, like, if you call in and be like, listen, I ain't got it, you can apply to extend the life of your loan. So the payment that you would have made this month is actually tacked onto the end of your loan, and you're not assessed a late payment fee because you didn't make a payment that month. And you're not getting that ding to your credit because of that late payment. Talk to these lenders. I get it. It's intimidating. And for a lot of you, it's embarrassing when you can't make these payments, but they would rather you communicate with them so that they can plan accordingly, and to make it so that it's not penalizing you as much, because a happy client is a paying client, right? So, talk to them first before you just start avoiding these people. Reach out for assistance. A lot of people are too proud for help, but there are a lot of programs out here that can help you all. Disasterassistance.gov or a disaster recovery center. If it's a natural disaster, you can always dial 211 for community-based resources. I know during COVID, there was a lot of community-based programs that popped up for like mortgage and rental assistance. And those programs still exist. They actually existed before COVID, but the popularity really increased at the height of COVID. But 211 has a lot of useful resources. And I mean, we got these smartphones. Google it. Look for assistance in your area. You never know what you qualify for until you apply. I don't know why my kids are screaming. Contact community organizations. Organizations like food banks and faith-based organizations offer assistance to help cover daily essentials, right? And to connect you with additional resources. Again, food banks are actually really, really helpful. Like, even if it's not an emergency, for those of you who are struggling financially and you just don't have the money for groceries this month, food banks offer fresh fruits and vegetables, non-perishable food items. And a lot of times they do it on a monthly or a weekly basis to help out families. Don't be too proud to ask for help. There are a lot of families who willingly go every single month or week or whatever it is to pick up this food because they know they don't have an option. Instead of being hungry and instead of suffering in silence or putting yourself further in debt, reach out for help. There are a lot of community programs out here that can help you guys. You just have to be willing to ask for it. After a disaster happens, right? So after an emergency, again, see if you qualify for disaster relief. This is more so for natural disasters. So the disasterassistance.gov or disaster recovery centers will be identified by your local government entities, I guess you could say. And then FEMA obviously has more information, as well as community and faith-based organizations will have information on like their websites or numbers that you can call for assistance and things like that. Again, catalog all of your property damage. So we are talking about natural disasters a lot, especially because like I said, it's the anniversary of like Hurricane Katrina and stuff like that. But if you take pictures of all of your stuff before and you have everything documented as far as your property goes and like what you owned and what worked, after the fact, when you come back, take pictures of everything that's broken so that you have evidence of like, it wasn't like this previously. The disaster caused this and my insurance covers this disaster. This will ensure that your insurance policy will cover all of those damages. Be careful. Whenever you have an emergency, right, people get desperate. In your desperateness, I guess you could say, a lot of people tend to fall for scams they normally would not fall for. Be cautious of scams. Don't give out your personal identification numbers, your PIN numbers to accounts. If they're asking you for bank account information or login information over the phone or over the internet, hang up, call the bank directly. If you get weird text messages or weird emails, or like even when I get an email that's like, or if I get a notification that's like, hey, we're going to freeze your account because we're worried about these purchases. Even if, I think it's legit, instead of clicking any link or responding to those texts, I will call my bank or call my credit card company, like, hey, did you guys send me this? I just want to be, I want to be 1,000% sure. But it's really important that you guys aren't falling for these scams just because you're desperate. Even though you're desperate, you have to kind of take a step back from your situation to make yourself aware. Look for the warning signs, misspelled words in emails, links that when you hover over them, it doesn't really take you to the website it says it's going to take you to. If it's being sent from an unsafe email, if you don't identify the phone number, things like that. Make sure that, just because it's an emergency, you're desperate and you really need help, make sure you're not making yourself a target. Prioritize your needs over your wants. Whenever you're having an emergency, right? And let's say you got the emergency savings and that's cool, but it wasn't enough. So you still are like paying for things out of pocket. You're going to have to go back and alter your spending. And this is where it comes into effect. Like, you need a budget. You need a budget, because this will be the point in time when you would sit down and you would prioritize your needs over your wants. You would amend your income to show what you're actually bringing in, and you'll amend your expenses to include any additional expenses that were a result of the emergency, so that you know exactly where you're sitting financially. It'll also allow you to make those changes. Like, all right, my entertainment budget is usually $125 a month. I'm not going out this month. I'm not going to the movies. I'm not doing this hobby. I'm not doing that. I'm going to take this $125 and I'm going to prioritize it I'm going to put it in this category. I'm going to do this with it. I'm going to do that with it. But having a budget helps you make those decisions. Again, if you need a free customized budget plan, completely free, it takes 10 minutes to fill out this information. You're going to want to go to physical.com, FISECAL.com/themoneyplug. And then turn off utilities. Whenever you have a natural disaster and your house is no longer inhabitable, you want to turn off everything: your gas and electric, your internet, all that. A lot of times people forget about those things, and then those bills are still constantly accumulating, and it's nothing these companies can do because you never turned off your utilities. So if anything happens and your home is no longer inhabitable, you definitely want to turn off your water, your gas and electric, your internet, anything that was a recurring charge. You want to suspend or turn off the service so that you don't have to worry about it while you're going through whatever it is you're going through. And you can take that money that you are allotting towards these bills and put it towards whatever it is that you needed. Ta-da, this was the end of the post. So again, Instagram, I am going to try to post these for you guys. It is a lot of slides, and I know Instagram really limits me at 10, but I'm hoping I can get at least condensed version up for you guys so that you can save that post for the rest of the month. I answered most of these going through the slides. Not at my credit score. Got it. You are going really fast. So I feel like I didn't, but I mean, so if you didn't catch the live, for the budget, the link is right here. So if you're looking at your screen, the link for the budget is literally right here. I know Instagram can't see it, but the link is right here. www.physical.com/themoneyplug. That's why I have these banners and stuff up right here, so that websites and stuff like that, you guys can kind of just screenshot it and go to it after the fact. But if you guys missed the live, can't stay for the whole time, I have been live for an hour. So if you weren't here the whole time, you came in late, welcome. My name is Markia. I'm a certified financial education instructor and a credit literacy coach. And all of my lives are recorded on YouTube. You can always go to my YouTube channel, which is WWTMPD, What Would the Money Plug Do? And you can go back and watch all of the previous lives, as well as some just regular recorded videos for you guys to look at. I'll actually change my overlay to this one. And then if you look, let me see if I can take this one off right quick. So if you look, it has all of my social media profiles. Again, I know you guys can't see, and I apologize, but it has all of my social media profiles on there for you guys to follow me. I tend to cross post a lot. So if you follow me on one thing, you probably got all of my content. But there are some times when I have platform specific content. So you definitely want to follow me on everything to make sure you're getting all of the information you need. And for September, like I said, September is National Preparedness Month. So all this month, I'm going to be talking about how do you prepare for a financial emergency? What is a financial emergency? And how can financial emergencies affect your credit? Again, a financial emergency is anything that you just did not plan for this month. And so if I didn't plan to get my car fixed, if I did not plan to buy a new tire, if I did not plan to move, then obviously these are considered financial emergencies. And so this means that I'm going to have to take money from somewhere to put it towards something else. And if you don't have things like an emergency savings account, if you are not prepared to pay deductibles and things like that, if you don't have that money off to the side into these different accounts, then unfortunately your credit 9 times out of 10 is going to take a hit, because you're going to have to rob Peter to pay Paul. So I guess that's why I'm so passionate about preparing before the emergency, because the consequences after the fact, especially the fact that you're going through something and now you're having financial problems, that can be very overwhelming for someone's mental health. And, suicide is a real thing. Harming yourself and others due to the mental stress that you're under is a real thing. So by preparing yourself prior to the emergency, you're helping yourself in the long run. Whew, that was a lot. All right, so I've been live for an hour. Do you guys have any credit questions, right? Credit questions. It can be about anything. There we go. It can be about anything at all. Before I get off the live. And thank you guys for sticking it out with me. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Because y'all know how I do. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut out. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Again, I want to thank you guys again, like I said, for all of the donations and the school supplies and the notes that we put into the backpacks for the back to school backpack drives. This month for National Preparedness Month, as a part of the ready.gov kind of push to prepare people for emergencies, we're going to be putting together go bags. If you would like to donate, if you would like to donate supplies, please DM me on Instagram and I'll give you an address that you could forward the stuff to. If you would like to donate money, I'm available on PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. And I'll also post the link so that you guys could see it on Instagram as well as inside the Facebook group. But thank you guys so much for sticking out with the lives. Y'all know what I always say. Live every day like it's your last, but pay your bills and wear condoms just in case it's not. And thank you guys so much for all the support that you've given me over the last 2 years. It's really, really been helpful in getting me what I need to push out the content that you guys need. Again, I'm definitely going to stress this again. Physical.com/themoneyplug for your budgets. Everybody needs a budget. I have the link on everything. But again, it's free. It's free. You don't have to do anything but fill the stuff out and then you get a copy of your financial plan. It's completely free. But I'm going to let you guys enjoy your weekend. I'll see everybody on Monday in one piece, right? I'll see you all on Monday. And if you got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information has been scrolling on the bottom of your screen for a while. I'm available on all social media platforms, or you can email me at markiab@themoneyplug.co.